What's up, everybody? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What's up, everybody? Brick MMA. UFC 313. Periera versus Ankalaev. Um, in Las Vegas. Bro, this blows my shit so much, bro. OBS is so glitchy sometimes, man. I just recorded the whole video. I felt good about it too when I was recording it. And then just to find out, like when I try to play it back, it didn't show any of the screen. So everything I said was for fucking nothing, right? So now I'm kind of just gonna speed through it. Jordan Santos versus Ozzy Diaz. I'm gonna go Jordan Santos, by decision. I don't know too much about him. He's a prospect. This is his debut. Ozzy Diaz just got knocked out in his last fight. This is obviously a layup for Santos. I'm gonna go with Santos, right? Chris Gutierrez versus John Castaneda. I like both. I think Gutierrez is just more experienced and has a stronger resume than John Castaneda, who I was actually going to pick for his last fight, which was supposed to be like the last card. Andrade da Silva, something like that. Right, the old guy. Yeah, I'm going to go Chris Gutierrez. I think he can keep the range pretty well with his kicks. Especially with John Castaneda being a lot shorter, more round like, more beetle built. I think he's gonna struggle to close the distance with Gutierrez. Actually, no, I think is Gutierrez coming up on short notice? Because that might change that for me. Actually, I don't know. I'm still go with Chris Gutierrez regardless, to be honest. Next, Myron Santos versus Francis Marshall. I like Francis Marshall, Jersey native. I heard about him when he was getting signed. When he was first getting signed, was happy for him. But he's pretty streaky in the UFC right now. He's 2-2. He hasn't. I feel like he hasn't been able to show his true potential. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like he kind of freezes in certain moments. But I like Santos. I think Santos gets it done. Hopefully just by decision. I don't want to see Francis Marshall get finished again. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Myron Santos. I really liked him in his last fight. I think he can do pretty well in the featherweight division. Moving on to the prelims. Oh yeah, guys, Alex Morono in the Big 2025. All right, it was funny the first time I said it. Trust me. But I'm gonna go Carlos Leal. Alex Morono is 34. He's pretty trash and striking. He has solid grappling, but he's just too unorthodox. And I think that only really works if you're athletic, and he's not athletic. He's kind of a blob, kind of tubby for a welterweight. He's kind of just like a big lightweight, honestly. But yeah, I'm just gonna go with Carlos Leal. Next, Bruno Ferreira versus Armin Petrosian. See, look, what blows my shit about me having to restart this video is that I talked a lot about these, about I think all the fights after this one, after the Morono. Yeah, so yeah, like I was saying, Bruno Ferreira, pretty big, has knockout power, decent striking. He's a little wild, like he can throw elbows. He could throw anything that can knock you out. Fuck. Excuse me, I've been burping, like I've been having stomach issues all morning. But yeah, so Armin Petrosian, I think he's the cleaner striker. I think he's the more technical striker. I had him tied or up at least when he was against Shara Bullet. But I think Shara Bullet and Bruno Ferreira's approach are pretty similar, you know. In terms of being able to pull a rabbit out of the hat in a bad moment, you know. Yeah, so I went with Ferreira. I think probably by KO. I don't see this going to decision, right? I think both fighters have a lot of finishing potential. and I think that's exactly how it's gonna go. I think Forever's gonna get um, TKO. I think he's gonna drop him, hurt him, probably in the second round, and finish it there. You know. Next, Joshua Van versus Ray Saruya. I like Ray Saruya. I think he's a little too inexperienced to win this fight. He definitely has a chance with his grappling, but Joshua Van, he's been tested. He's fought Cody Durden, who I rate as a pretty solid grappler, decent striker. And he violated him. He did him bad, and I was worried a lot for Van in that fight. More worried for Van in that fight because I thought that would be one of his harder tests in the division. He does have a tendency, like he doesn't have a great chin. And we haven't seen him necessarily on the ground, off his back, or in bad positions. But that's partially a good thing because that means his takedown defense is good enough, or he's good enough to be able to get out of those positions before he's in it, right? And the same thing with the chinny with the chinny allegations. I don't see Saruya uh, uh, pulling a random haymaker out of the bag and just fucking hurting him or sleeping him, right? He's just gonna go for the takedowns. I don't think he's gonna get them. I think he's gonna end up gassing himself out, and Joshua Van is probably gonna get a TKO win in the third round. Next, Curtis Blades versus Rizvan Kanuyev. I know Kanuyev is from the PFL. I know he popped for steroids, and I know he's making his debut in the UFC. So, bro, I'm just gonna keep it a buck. I got Curtis Blades finishing him within like 2 rounds. I don't see this being close and competitive at all. I think Curtis Blades just rolls through him, either submission or ground and pound. So now we're gonna move on to the prelims, right? So what I was saying about Bobby Green versus Rufy before was that, um, like I know Rufy has like the hype of the fan base and like the hype of the fighting nerds behind him, and he has a good camp behind him. It's obviously the fighting nerds, but he's pretty untested, right? He's getting thrown in there with the very solid vet. I think even at now at his age, with the damage he's taken and everything, Bobby Green is still going to be a very hard opponent for him. He wasn't able to finish James Lontop, who hurt him pretty bad at moments. He had a good chin though. He was doing solid against Lontop, but he couldn't get the finish. And his only other win besides that is Jimmy Malarkey. You know what I'm saying? And none of those guys are even close to Bobby Green. So I feel like he's being heavily overlooked just because of like the light of the prospects and stuff. But I'm gonna go with Bobby. I like Bobby a lot in this fight. I think he definitely has the tools to win. I think he definitely can win. I know he's coming off a loss to Patty, but he didn't necessarily take any damage from that. I mean, he went to sleep, which probably fucks up the brain a little bit. But I like in terms of like his chin, I think he's okay. I think he'll do fine. I think Rufy, has a tendency to get hit sometimes. And I think Bobby, he's gonna put on a lot of pressure. He has good head movement. Sorry, and he has good power in his hands. I think if he catches Rufy with anything that Lon Top hit him with, I think Rufy goes down because Bobby's also pretty good with combos. You know. Um. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Bobby. I think this fight goes to a split decision. Maybe I think before I expected a KO, but I think I'm gonna go with decision this time. I think Bobby's gonna be maybe slightly careful, and Rufy's gonna be slightly careful after getting hurt really good at any moment or at some moment during the fight. Sorry, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Bobby. Next up, Amanda Lemos versus Yasmin or Eisman Lucindo. I'm not sure, but what I was saying in the last recording was that athleticism and the power of youth um isn't as common in women's MMA, just because none of them really have the athleticism to to that makes that difference. Because there's a lot of guys in the UFC that just make it off athleticism, just their physique, just their build. They're just physically gifted enough to just make it, which is crazy. Even regardless of how low their skill level actually is. But that just isn't prevalent in women's MMA. Like, nobody's that strong. Nobody ever comes in that fast. Nobody ever comes in. There's no freak of natures, and there's no freaks of nature. I mean, in women's MMA per se. So I think I'm just gonna go with the experience of Amanda Lemos to be able to win this fight. But I would want Lucinda to win. I think this is Zhang Wei Li's class, right? I believe, and she needs new competition. And I think if Lucinda can get a win, and hopefully she gets the win, um, then she puts herself in line for a title shot, or probably just next for the title in general. But yeah. Next, Jalen Turner versus Ignacio Bahamondes. Um, I'm gonna be going with Jalen Turner. He's had a lot of close fights in his career. I think he knows now, at least, that his career is at risk. If he loses this fight, he can risk getting cut, I believe, especially because he's pretty inactive. Right? He doesn't fight that often. He's not necessarily a huge fan favorite. He's kind of like a kind of a casual name in the sport, and he doesn't reach a big audience. And I think the UFC would want Bahamondes to win. Just to add more fan base. If he can have the country of Chile get behind Bahamondes, that's a lot more views and shit like that. But I think Jalen Turner um gets a late second round, early third round KO over Bahamondes. I like Bahamondes, you know what I'm saying? But it's not like he has like an iron chin. He gets hurt. He's not exactly like, the best. You know what I'm saying? I think he's had good competition. He's fought Ludwig Klein, he's fought Manuel Torres. But I don't know. I think I'm just gonna have to go with Jalen Turner until he proves me wrong. The co-main, Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev. I'm gonna keep this one kind of short. Um, it's crazy how Justin's the underdog. You know, he's coming off a knockout loss. But he did, like he took his time off, and that's kind of different because he was preparing for this fight with a full camp. Like he had his time to recover. He had a full camp. When he was supposed to fight Dan Hooker, who was also a solid striker, and he's beat Fiziev already. I think the knockout from Max doesn't affect Justin as much as Fiziev's injury that he's coming off of. Now he's coming onto this short notice. Um, and it's a 3 round fight instead of a 5 round fight. Like I think it's weird because everything is in Justin Gaethje's favor. He's beat the guy already. The guy's injured, so and the dangers that Fiziev brought before may not be there. Explosivity, quickness, the kicks, all that. That's just not going to be as prevalent in his game anymore. And if he gets, if Justin Gaethje lands, some heavy, solid leg kicks, he could probably re-injure Fiziev, right? That's a crazy fight to take. Shout out, respect to Fiziev. You know what I'm saying? This is still going to be a banger fight, but I think Justin Gaethje's being super overlooked, and I'm going with Gaethje. I'm going to go probably decision. I think Fiziev is pretty tough. He's probably going to hang in there still. Probably decision or, Justin Gaethje knockout. But now, for the main event, Alex Periera versus Magomed Ankalaev. I'm going to try to keep this one kind of brief, too. So obviously the worries of Alex Pereira. Excuse me. Um, is the striking. I mean, no, whoa, sorry. I mean the grappling of Ankalaev. Now I think Ankalaev's stance, striking stance, is what gives Pereira some issues. Even though, because Ankalaev is a southpaw, Alex is conventional. Um, and I know he just beat Khalil Roundtree, who's also a southpaw, but Khalil Roundtree gave him his hardest fight up until now at light heavyweight. Besides maybe like Jan Blachowicz, right? But Khalil gave him his hardest fight at light heavyweight. And I know he was sick and stuff, but I think regardless of that, Khalil was gonna be a harder fight. Or Khalil was gonna be a hard fight for him, right? Um, and I don't like what I've been seeing from Alex in terms of like the photo op. I thought he looked a little tubby. He's usually lean, especially around now, because well, maybe not as much because he doesn't have to cut as much weight. But even then, sorry, hold on. Fuck, bro, I gotta burp again. But yeah, sorry. Um, it's like if you take the difficulty of fighting Khalil, right, and then being able to add the fact that Ankalaev can grapple. He chooses not to, but he can. I think it's very difficult to decide. It's very difficult because I'm gonna just say this right now. I want Alex to win, and I hope he does. Right. Alex, if he gets caught in any takedowns, I think his best decision is to just stall, get the fight stood up. Hopefully don't take any damage. Just try to grab him onto the wrist and stuff, or like keep him close and close guard. Because his best chance is in the stand up, right? Everybody knows this. And Ankalaev is susceptible to leg kicks, but I don't know how prevalent that would be in this fight, knowing there's a takedown threat if he gets caught. Now, his leg kicks are non-telegraphed, which makes them really good, but they're not going to be as powerful because they're not going to be with his rear side, or he's not going to be kicking with his rear leg. He's going to be kicking with the front, and as much as that may still hurt, it doesn't hurt as much. So the stance switching is definitely going to, or the switch stance is definitely, sorry, the southpaw stance is definitely going to cause some problems for Alex. But I think he can still get this done. I think Alex has definitely shown that he has some IQ with grappling, and that he's not, maybe he's not going to get wet blanketed like we all think he is. But what worries me is like sorry, I didn't even finish that earlier. But what worries me is the conditioning. Alex has been traveling a lot. He tends to train while he travels and stuff. People know this. He posts that stuff. But I don't know. It was just something worrying about just seeing him just like slightly tubby. It's like is he slacking? Does he really, like, is he not taking it serious? But there's no way he's not, right? There's no way he's not. But Ankalaev looked really in shape, and that definitely made me kind of reconsider how much I think Alex is gonna win. But no, I think Alex's best way to victory is stalling out any grappling exchanges, do his thing on the feet. I think attacking the body is gonna be helping him a lot in this fight. I don't think he should be headhunting. I think he can. I think Alex should try working in the clinch if they ever get to that. If they get to that position, throwing knees, Um, I feel like that's something he should have added to his game a while ago. You know, the clinch. I think if he adds a very strong clinch game, he's gonna be a very hard guy to beat. You know what I'm saying? Especially with how hard he punches. If he like his, because he doesn't even need a lot of distance to generate the power to knock you out. Right? Like if you look at the Jamal Hill fight, like that shovel uppercut that he did, it didn't have a lot of distance. It was pretty short, right? And he has very long arms, which is still like crazy. That like he doesn't need that much to generate. That he doesn't need that much distance to generate. And I think if he got a solid clinch game, he could be able to add a lot more of like these short, powerful punches that do a lot of damage. Now, for a lot of people, these would be like just flurry punches, pillow punches that don't do that much, but they're worth points, right? Now, but for Alex, these are worth points and they do a lot of damage. So hopefully I can see some of that in the fight. I'm kind of concerned for this, but I think it's time for me to put my faith in Alex. I've like, I always worry for the fighters that I like when they fight. I've always liked Alex. I thought, the slight chance he gets fluke KO'd by Jamal, fluke KO'd by Yuri. He's always proved he's always proved people wrong, and I think he's gonna continue to do that. And I would hope that he can continue to do that. So I'm gonna go with Alex. That was the video. That was UFC 313. My full card predictions, and I'll be back with my reactions.